Kash Patel walked into the Senate hearing room Tuesday morning carrying a thick manila folder, and Senator Lindsey Graham's face immediately changed. This was supposed to be a routine questioning about FBI reform, but the folder in Kash's hands suggested something very different was about to happen. Graham started with his usual Southern charm. He said, "Mr. Patel, we're here to discuss your qualifications for FBI director, not to relitigate past grievances. Can we agree to keep this professional?" Kash set the folder on the table with a deliberate thud. He said, "Professional? Senator Graham, you've spent the last week telling media outlets I'm unqualified and dangerous. Was that professional?" The other senators shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't starting like they expected. Graham's smile tightened. He said, "I have concerns about your approach to reform." "No," Kash interrupted. "You have concerns about what I know. What I've documented. What's in this folder?" He tapped the manila folder, and Graham's eyes followed the movement. Kash continued, "You called me a conspiracy theorist on Fox News last Sunday. Said I see corruption where none exists. Well, Senator, would you like to discuss the 3 meetings you had with FBI officials about suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story?" The room went dead silent. C-SPAN cameras captured Graham's face going pale. Graham stammered, That's completely false." "Is it?" Kash opened the folder. October 14th, 2020. You met with Deputy Director Davidson at your office. October 19th, conference call with FBI Cyber Division. October 22nd, private dinner with Director Wray where you specifically discussed managing the laptop narrative. Graham's hands gripped the desk. He said, "Those were routine oversight meetings." "Routine?" Kash pulled out a document. "I have the visitor logs, Senator. I have the phone records. Most importantly, I have the whistleblower testimony from the agent who was in those meetings." Other senators were leaning forward now, some looking concerned, others intrigued. Senator Ted Cruz intervened. He said, "Mr. Patel, these are serious allegations." "They're not allegations," Kash responded. "They're documented facts." Senator Graham didn't just know about the laptop suppression. He actively participated in it. He helped coordinate the response that called it Russian disinformation. Graham stood up, his face red. He said, "This is outrageous. You can't come in here and make wild accusations." "Wild?" Kash pulled out another paper. "Here's your text message to Director Wray, October 23rd, 2020. Need to keep lid on this until after. Can't let it derail things." "Still think it's wild, Senator?" The hearing room erupted. Reporters were typing furiously. Other senators were demanding to see the documents. Now, what happens next is exactly what the establishment didn't want exposed. A senator's corruption laid bare with receipts. If you want to see more truth bombs they try to hide, subscribe right now. We're your source for unfiltered reality. Hit subscribe and join the movement for transparency. Graham was sputtering. He said, "Those messages are taken out of context." "Context?" Kash laughed bitterly. "Let me provide context. You knew the laptop was real. The FBI confirmed it to you in those meetings. But you went on TV and called it Russian disinformation anyway. You lied to the American people to influence an election." Senator Josh Hawley spoke up. He said, "Senator Graham, did you or did you not have these meetings?" Graham looked trapped. He said, "I meet with FBI officials regularly as part of oversight." "Answer the question." Kash slammed his hand on the table. "Did you coordinate with the FBI to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story? Yes or no?" Graham's lawyer leaned in to whisper to him, which made everything worse. Kash continued, "While you're consulting counsel, let me share what else is in this folder. Financial records showing $1.8 million in donations to your PAC from defense contractors who benefited from your Ukraine votes." Graham exploded. He said, "How dare you? I've served this country. You've served yourself." Kash shot back. "Every time there's a war to fund, you're first in line. Every time there's surveillance to expand, you champion it. And now we know why. You're not serving South Carolina. You're serving your donors and the deep state." He pulled out more documents. "Speaking of Ukraine, Senator, should we discuss your son's consulting firm?" The one that got contracts worth $3.2 million from Ukrainian energy companies right after you pushed for more aid. Graham's face went from red to purple. He said, "My family's business is perfectly legal." "Legal doesn't mean ethical," Kash interrupted. "Legal doesn't mean you should vote to send billions overseas while your family profits from it. Legal doesn't mean the people of South Carolina know their senator is enriching himself through foreign wars." Other senators were trying to restore order, but Kash wasn't done. He said, "You want to know why I'm dangerous to you, Senator? Because I have the receipts. Because I did the investigations you blocked. Because I know where the bodies are buried, and I'm not afraid to dig them up." Graham pointed a shaking finger at Kash. He said, "You're destroying the reputation of this institution. You destroyed it." Kash countered, "You and everyone else who sold out their constituents for power and profit. You turned the FBI into your personal protection service. You weaponized intelligence agencies against Americans. And now you're terrified someone might hold you accountable." He turned to address the other senators. "How many of you got the same briefings about the laptop? How many of you knew it was real but stayed silent? How many of you have similar arrangements with defense contractors? Because I have those files too." The hearing room was in complete chaos. Several senators were calling for a recess. Others were demanding to see the evidence. Kash pulled out one final document. He said, "Senator Graham, this is your financial disclosure from 2019. The real one, not the sanitized version you filed. Want to explain the offshore accounts? The shell companies? The payments that coincidentally align with your votes on surveillance legislation?" Graham's lawyer stood up. He said, "My client won't respond to these baseless attacks." "Baseless?" Kash held up the papers. "I have bank records. I have emails. I have testimony from your own staff members who couldn't stomach the corruption anymore." He looked directly at Graham. "You call me unqualified to run the FBI, but you know what really disqualifies someone? Corruption. Lying to the American people. Selling out your country for profit. That's what disqualifies someone, Senator." Graham tried one last time. He said, "This is nothing but revenge." "You're right," Kash admitted. "It is revenge. Revenge for every American you lied to. Revenge for every soldier who died in wars you profited from. Revenge for everyone who believed their government worked for them while you worked for yourself." Security moved toward Kash, but other senators waved them off. Everyone wanted to see how this played out. Kash stood up, gathering his documents. He said, "I have copies of everything. Multiple copies. In multiple locations. With multiple people. So don't even think about making this disappear like you've made so many other things disappear." He addressed the cameras directly. "To the American people watching, this is your government. These are your representatives. And this is what they've been hiding from you. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Graham, desperate, said, "You'll never be confirmed. I'll make sure of it." Kash smiled. He said, "Senator, you just proved why I need to be confirmed. Because people like you are terrified of people like me. People with evidence. People with courage. People who put America first instead of their bank accounts." He headed for the exit, then turned back. "Oh, and Senator Graham, that dinner with Director Wray where you discussed suppressing the laptop? We have the recording. Your friend wore a wire. Turns out even corrupt officials don't trust each other." Graham's face went white. The hearing room exploded again. Kash delivered his final words. "This is just the beginning. Every corrupt official, every dirty deal, every lie told to the American people, it's all coming out. Because that's what draining the swamp really looks like. Not speeches. Evidence. Files. Truth." He walked out as the hearing descended into complete chaos. Within minutes, #Kash Patel Files was trending worldwide. The footage went viral instantly. News networks scrambled to verify the allegations. But the real bombshell came an hour later when Kash released some of the documents online. Bank records, meeting logs, text messages. The evidence was overwhelming. Graham tried to do damage control, calling a press conference where he claimed the documents were fabricated and taken out of context. But when reporters asked specific questions about the transactions, he couldn't answer. Other senators began distancing themselves. Some called for investigations. The mainstream media, forced to cover it, tried to focus on Kash's unprofessional behavior rather than the corruption he exposed. But the American people saw through it. They saw a senator who'd been caught red-handed. They saw a system protecting itself. They saw why outsiders like Kash Patel terrified the establishment. Within a week, protests erupted in South Carolina demanding Graham's resignation. His approval rating plummeted. Calls for a special prosecutor grew louder. Kash did an interview where he was asked if he regretted his approach. He said, "My only regret is that I didn't do this sooner. For too long, we've allowed corruption to hide behind decorum. We've let criminals hide behind Senate rules. No more. The American people deserve the truth, even if it's messy." The confirmation process became a national referendum on corruption versus transparency. Graham fought to block it, but his influence was shattered. Other senators, seeing the writing on the wall, backed away from him. 6 months later, Lindsey Graham announced he wouldn't seek re-election, citing health concerns. Everyone knew the real reason. At Kash Patel's eventual confirmation hearing, he said, "Senator Graham did me a favor. He showed America why we need an FBI director who isn't afraid of the establishment. Because the establishment isn't afraid of you." It's time that changed. The revolution wasn't polite. It wasn't procedural. It was a man with files walking into a room full of corruption and refusing to leave until the truth was on the table. Sometimes that's what draining the swamp looks like. Not promises, just proof.